face it, we always say that universal healthcare makes total sense from a financial standpoint. It
Yep.
removes the for-profit middleman in between you and your doctor. This is not, this isn't communist China where, you basically are not allowing doctors to make a living past a certain point. No, you're giving the economic freedom in a way that people I don't think are fully aware of. And I think that that's something that still needs to be, kind of, I don't want to say taught, but it conveyed in a way that I think more people want to understand. I think one of the best arguments for universal healthcare in California alone is the fact that cost of living is so exponentially high. And if you were to have universal healthcare, the cost reduction for the average person would go down so much. It would probably affect their cost of living significantly, because a lot of people are leaving California for the fact that they just can't afford to live there. If you could talk about what type of financial impact that would make if they were to have a universal system.
Yeah, there's a lot of positive impacts. One is just a reduction of stress. You talk to people in other countries that, they may have some complaints about their healthcare system, but they don't have to worry that they may end up homeless or they may end up bankrupt because of a health situation. A lot of stress that the working families have, knowing they're one injury, one illness away from losing their home, or for complete catastrophe as a fiscal catastrophe as a family. The other aspect of it in being attached to employment is that you can't have the freedom of choosing your job. A lot of people would leave their job if it wasn't, and you hear this all the time. I would leave my job, but I have good health care, so I don't want to leave it. You might have someone in an abusive relationship. There's so many different ways this manifests itself. And then, of course, the financial. Look, businesses pay $20,000 a year for an employee to have family health care, just in premiums. The average individual pays $6,000 a year. And so when folks, think about, and the news loves the word tax, like, oh, they're going to tax to pay for it. Well, we are already paying the highest health tax in the world. I'm trying to reduce it so that a payroll tax for an employer is 1.25%. Bye 9.9% that you're paying for premiums right now.
Wow.
1% premium for the worker. So bye to the 2.7% workers are paying on average between 50 and 100,000. They're paying 2.7% of their pay for healthcare. So bye 2.7%. And by the way, no deductibles and no copays. So by way of example, if you make $55,000 a year, you don't pay payroll until the $50,000 is marginal. So that means you're paying 1% of the marginal rate. So for $55,000 a year, right now you're probably spending $1,500 or more a year for healthcare. If your employer gives you healthcare, and keep in mind the operative word, they give you, because they don't have to, right? I mean, it depends on how many hours you work and what have you. But under the plan I put forward, they would pay $50 a year for healthcare. So $50 a year for healthcare through their payroll versus $1,500 plus for inadequate healthcare. The healthcare we're offering is better than Medicare. It's better than it's health, it's hearing, dental, vision, long-term care, no prescription costs. And how do we pay for it? Because it sounds like a dream. We pay for it by reducing the 20% administrative costs, which cost tens of billions of dollars a year to our system. Reduce that to single digits, the low single digits like Medicare and VA, because when you don't have 100 payers, the complexity goes down dramatically. And then also the profit taking and the fraud. Tons of, obviously, billions of profit taking. You reduce that, and you're able to reduce the fraud because you don't have a complexity, a web of payment systems where fraud could be hidden.
Yeah. Why? Nobody's having to scam healthcare if they're given healthcare.
That's right.
It's really very basic. It's unbelievable.
It really just comes down to what type of a PR machine they're going to put forward if this thing continues to gain momentum. I am sure we see it all the time. Pharma, obviously, companies like Pfizer, Moderna, and whatnot.
And the insurance companies.
Yeah, Aetna, Cigna, United, they will all take out massive multi-million-dollar ad campaigns in the areas they need to convince the public that this is bad for them. This is actually communism, social, whatever they're going to say.
We're going to need to have Wendell Potter back on again. Anyway, I digress. You've reminded me of
that. I just got connected with him. We're going to be talking later this week. So
he's fantastic.
He's so excited to talk with him. And the reality is they are going to spend hundreds of millions. Wendell will be, I'm sure, he has that insight of what they're willing to do. And they're already starting. They're saying your taxes are going to be doubled. They're already saying you're going to lose your health care. All those things are already coming out. They already have a website. They're already doing social media, but they will spend hundreds of millions. So what I say to folks, especially when I introduce the ACA, they're like, "Oh, you want to go to the voters? They're going to spend all this money against you." Look, at the end of the day, it takes a movement, and I think today is an appropriate day to talk about that on Dr. King's, holiday. It takes a movement, and look what they went through, what Dr. King and the civil rights activists went through. People died. They went through so much more than we have to go through, but we're going to have to take their energy and their spirit and recognize that we're going to have to have an army of people on the doors, knocking on doors. It's got to be like one of the greatest field campaigns that we've ever seen, because that's the only way we're going to get through to people, is talking to them face to face. Otherwise, we're going to lose the battle of social media, the battle of TV ads, and the battle, frankly, of newspapers. I mean, the newspapers are corporate owned. They're going to, most of them are going to come out against it. Some are already writing articles against it. And then not to mention the mass media, TV and what have you. I mean, look, when you have this corporate media that's going to be pushing against it. And that's why, especially when I talk to folks like you, I can actually have an open, honest conversation. When I do these news segments that are like these 1-2 minute news segments on the local news, the main focus is taxes. Oh, but you're going to raise taxes. They don't talk about
Representative Kalra. The cost of living in California is already high enough to begin with. You want to add another tax on top of this? How do you think we afford to live in the Bay Area, my friend?
This is the problem.
And with that, we are done with the segment, and you don't have anything to say.
And the next 3 commercials are drug companies, right?
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the same companies that don't want this are who signs those guys' paychecks on the media. So it's kind of like they're all the same people.
You also can't be afraid to basically throw it back at them and say, just remember, the companies that are putting these commercials out, they're the ones that are going to lose if we win.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.